Join Confidential this Christmas for double the action, double the drama, and double the Doctor.
This episode is a gothic, cyber, Victorian epic nightmare.
The Sidemen are right up there, and we haven't seen them for a couple of years, so it was good to see them, and great to see them marching through the snow. Who the hell is that? Hello.
His name, sir, is the Doctor.
So we're here filming part of the Christmas episode, and it's an early scene where the Doctor arrives in this courtyard and meets the other Doctor.
Hold on, who are you?
I'm the Doctor. Simply the Doctor. The one, the only, and the best.
You start out with a bit of a mystery in this story, which again is unusual for a Christmas special. Like, who is this man?
If you could stand back, sir, this is a job for a Time Lord. He's had information into his head, so he's slightly been brainwashed into a situation where he believes he's someone else.
At the start of that episode, you would absolutely believe this is who the Doctor has become.
I love that wonderful conceit that the Doctor's companion in this episode would be himself.
David Morrisey is in some ways the great Doctor we'll never have.
I've been hunting this beast for a good fortnight now. Step back, son.
We've just seen a cyber shade jump on a wall. The other Doctor and then the Doctor grab onto the cyber shade with a rope and then get wheeked up the side of a building and through a window.
I might be in a little bit of trouble.
So to make this happen, we've put wires in the rope and hung the actors off the wires.
Once more for rehearsal, please. Same point, folks.
Is there a way just to sort of get a little bit more stable? I know it's difficult, but just so you're not swinging around as much.
Wires are always fun the first couple of times you get hauled up and down, because it is a bit like flying. But come take 10, you know, and your back starts to go and other areas are needing some attention.
Yeah, we'll try the first one. And then...
You know, it can start to feel like a long day.
Action!
Or not.
Well, I think I might be in a bit of trouble.
Nothing changes. I've got you!
Hold there. Thank you very much. We'll reset, go again, please.
Being in a harness for quite a long time, usually in a pair of highly padded cycling shorts to protect what dignity you might have left after 3 years of this.
Look at that.
6-8.
Actually, it was fine for the majority of the day. We were on there for a couple, about 4 or 5 hours. And then we broke, and I took the harness off and all that. And then we had to go back into the harness. And it was going back into the harness and doing it again at the end of the day that really hurt. I don't know why. I think I bruised all my thighs.
Good position is the good position. Okay, thanks.
I mean, that's a major cheat. I mean, we went up the side of that building about 17 times, just making it look, 3 or 4 times the length it actually was.
There can be some chafing and there can be some unpleasantness, but you forget about that when it's all cut together, and hopefully it all looks very exciting.
Secrets of the universe, the mysteries of life, and the things that don't make sense all come clear 'cause the music takes me Music takes me
I'm not letting you out of my sight, Doctor! Do you recognise me?
Oh, should I? Have we met? It's not slapstick, but it's quite a strange thing that they have to go through. This is hardly the right time for me to go through my social calendar.
Because you want these two men to come together very quickly. They could do that through dialogue, but it's much better fun to have them being pulled along through a rope. And after that, they're sort of friends from that point on, no matter what happens. And it's just shorthand to bring the two of them together.
It's quite a juicy part to cast. You're effectively casting another Doctor. So you want to make sure you've got the best actors around, really.
We've been thinking about David Morrisey for quite a long time. Obviously, he's one of the kind of most high-profile and brilliant actors in England.
Bit of a legend, if I say so myself.
Modesty forbids me to agree with you, sir, but yes, yes I am.
Every actor wants to create good characters and be in good stories, and Russell and his team here have really created that with Doctor Who.
You ask a lot of questions. I'm your companion.
Whenever those articles are written about who's going to take over, there's always 4 or 5 names that crop up, and Dave Morrisey is usually in there.
But that's not why we got him for this part. I mean, David Morrisey's name crops up because he's a great actor, and what we wanted for this part was a great actor. So there's no way we sort of thought, oh, let's play into the game of casting someone who might be the next Doctor. That's just too complicated. You just want to cast a great actor.
I've worked with David before. We did a series called Blackpool,
which was a musical, actually. We danced the tango together to These Boots Are Made for Walking, Nancy Sinatra number.
You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you ought to not bet.
and we had a really great time on that. That was it was a very dark comedy musical where we all sang and danced.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
We were very good.
What my character has done is downloaded all this information. He's not too clear what that information is, but he knows that he's got to have certain things in order to be this character that is the Doctor. One, of course, is a sonic screwdriver, so he gets himself a sonic screwdriver. Another one is a TARDIS, so he builds what he perceives to be a TARDIS.
I very much got into writing it as a Doctor. It's very much slightly a throwback to older Doctors. Because it's the Victorian age, you can put the frock coat on him, which is a lot more colourful than anyone else's. The cravat and the coat and the manner. He's got partly a Victorian speech pattern, partly an old Doctor speech pattern. He's one step away from saying "dear girl" to his companion.
I should introduce Rosita, my faithful companion, always telling me off.
What they do, don't they?
Doctor at first thinks he's another Time Lord, and then gradually realises that this man is working on an illusion.
But I'm the Doctor.
You became the Doctor.
It becomes apparent in the story that the next Doctor is, in fact, not a Time Lord, but a human, Jackson Lake.
Let me just check.
You told them you were the Doctor. Why did you do that?
Oh, just protecting you.
There's a very tiny moment where we cut some lines of dialogue out, actually, where the Doctor listens to his heartbeat. And originally in the script, you sort of realised that he was listening to one heart. And we took out the bit with the heartbeats just to keep the mystery going a little longer.
I can't remember what happened to me. What did they do?
It's a proper tragedy at the heart of this story. It's a man who's lost and lonely.
So I approached it in that way of a character who is suffering from memory loss and is sort of working on an energy that is trying to get him to block out something that has been very painful for him that's happened to him.
JL. The watch is Jackson Lake's.
The things that he's invented, particularly the TARDIS that he's inventing himself, saved the day.
All that bravery. Saving Rosita, defending London town. And the invention, building a TARDIS, that's all you.
So actually, in small ways and in vital ways, he becomes a proper Doctor and helps to save the Earth.
At your service, Doctor.
He would have been a wonderful Doctor. And the point is, in the end, that actually for the course of that story, he was the Doctor.
At one point, my character, when he is completely delusional and does think he's a superhero, he decides to lasso this cyber shader. And of course, as an actor, I have done very little lassoing in my life. So we got in this guy who taught me how to lasso, and it was brilliant.
My name is Guido Louis. We're going to catch a monster. It'll be exciting. I'm called in for the day to show David Morrisey about roping.
It was really good. And I spent quite a lot of the morning with him and his rope.
This is called a lasso. We have the loop ready, and now you'll swing it above your head in this way. Throw it at the target. Hopefully you hit it. That's good. The lasso that we'll be using today is not going to be an actual lasso. It will be an ordinary rope, quite heavy, quite thick, a lot heavier than I would use for a lasso. That's it. But I will show him how to lay it in his hands and then swing it above his head. But we can do it. We'll be all right.
I had to aim at the first assistant who was and I got him first time, which I was very happy about, actually. So yeah, my lasso skills are up there now. I can sort of, if I have to give up the day job, I can join a circus.
Excellent.
In an abandoned Welsh warehouse, it's time for the two doctors to go on the pull.
Today I've been pulling the doctors along through the warehouse, which is linking from the scene we were shooting yesterday, where I was pulling them up a wall, Spider-Man style.
So Rory, mate, you're running down here, and we're just tracking along in the camera vehicle next to you, OK?
I wanted a great big opening Christmas Day stunt, actually. I wanted it to be funny.
So, obviously, ideally, you're on all fours, but it's going to be impossible. So, it's to get as much speed, but just give the impression that you're kind of lolloping sort of low. OK. And then just throw looks back over your shoulder. A little bit quicker. That's good. And chuck some looks back.
Once they're off the vertical and they start going horizontally, it's just funny.
I've got to run on all fours, on the impression of all fours, through the warehouse as quickly as possible while two people are holding onto the rope behind me, which is interesting.
In my head, I have rough practicality in mind. Well, I basically knew it would be a nightmare.
They'd set up this rig on the back of a quad bike.
Basically, just underneath their bums, it was just a little kind of saddle pad that they sat on.
It was just a kind of two little seats on a kind of metal frame.
And I sat strapped in one, David strapped in the other, and we're holding these ropes. And then we just get dragged endlessly around this warehouse.
You know, on days like that, when two actors are being pulled across a warehouse on a quad bike on their bums, that's why I don't go on set very often. It's like you write that stuff and you go, over to you.
We've started off gradually. I think we're getting up to about 15 to 20 miles an hour. So, you know, fairly quick along this rough ground. So it's certainly not comfortable.
3, 2, 1, action!
It's the sort of thing that when you were first told that you're going to be sort of sitting on a sort of bit of tin, which are going to be dragged along the floor by a quad bike, you can't quite imagine it's either that it's going to work or that it's not going to kill you.
Cut there. OK.
Don't try that at home, kids.
It really signals up the kind of episode it's going to be. It's going to be a romp. It's going to be slapstick. We're going to have fun along the way.
They look so funny, the two of them just act their hearts out of that. Imagine being pulled along by a quad bike and having to do all that acting at the same time. It's just brilliant.
It was really good fun.
We had real fun. I mean, it was, again, it was pretty uncomfortable the next day. But David and I have quite a laugh, don't we?
So just what is it that makes the Doctor Who Christmas special so special?
Well, I love the Christmas specials. You know, mums and dads and kids, more than any other day of the year, more than any of the normal Saturdays, will be sitting down watching telly.
It's just the scale, the ambition in the writing, that anything goes.
And one part of you wants to make it bigger and better each year. At the same time, you shouldn't go mad with that. Just as long as you've got a good story, that's the main thing.
Witness me, mankind, a cyber king of all.
It's a cyber king!
In some ways, last year with Kylie Minogue and the Titanic, that's about as big as you can go. And it was tempting in a way to try and copy that, but what would you have done? You know, you'd have had Cheryl Cole or Maud Hindenburg or something. Now I say that. That would have had record viewing figures. You know, it's got a little bit more intimacy than we've had before. And then again, when you get the Cyber King stepping on London at the end, it's not exactly supple. So, you know, we've still got the size as well. It's got that Dickensian feel to it. Actually, Dickens, had he thought of putting a great big robot in A Christmas Carol, he would have done it. I like to think I've improved on Dickens there.
The graveyard scene was a collective favourite for everybody.
We've been filming in this graveyard in Newport. We're saying it's a Victorian funeral happening.
The visuals just popped right off the page.
We always want to give the Cybermen a nice big entrance, some great sort of barnstorming appearance.
What manner of men are they?
Cybermen.
You have people clashing into each other and falling over. You have cyber shades leaping onto the backs. There's a lovely top shot where you see people scrambling over graves.
It's just nightmarish, really.
Monstrous would you? Merry Christmas to you too.
This time I thought, well, you know, a great entrance is the snow.
You had the white snow, these men in black, and then the figure of Miss Hartigan in this scarlet dress coming through the snow. So all the components were there, really. It was just a question of just marrying the seductiveness of Miss Hartigan and that femme fatale element and the horror of the Cybermen. You've got the soft snow and then the cold chrome steel of the Cybermen.
And there's all those statues and graves that sort of match with the silver, all the silvers and greys of the stone and the metal all sort of work together. The Cybermen just look right in that setting.
You know, with the Cybermen, because of the whole marching army, you know, it's good to be a good team, and you sort of work out little ways of how to do things and how to count things and how we're all going to stop at the same time and what's the best way for everybody. Well, if I stay to the right, this side, then hopefully it will give you enough room if you do pass me to take over, if I'm killing.
It's kind of funny, really, because they're a lovely, normal bunch of blokes, and they're sweating away in their suits. And I think they have a pretty tough time of it. Mind you, I'm in a really tight corset all day, so it's uncomfortable for everyone, really.
You've got men in suits who can't see properly, dressed as Cybermen, in mist and snow, so their visibility is even more reduced, on quite an uneven surface sometimes. Surrounded by extras running and some stuntmen extras in that who have to be grabbed and zapped and things like that. So easy to write, very hard to do.
There's basically a number of key choreographed elements that were basically stunts that I wanted to put into the action.
What if, like, two guys collide and fall over, and then there's a Cyberman coming towards him, and the other one sort of pushes him, you know, to save himself?
It's quite restricted with the choreography because obviously with the Cybermen they've got limited movement, so it's all about maximising the space and the distance.
And the good thing is I went in with certain ideas and then Tom threw up other things in the day.
We're just having you two sort of run in, sort of bump into each other. Yeah. Bump in and like stumble, and then as Paul comes, you just sort of like just do that with Nick, push Nick into Paul.
Rehearsing and action.
And basically it was just to make the mayhem when the Cybermen attack just look as chaotic as possible.
One on this side leaps over the grave, clambers over the earth and legs it, maybe falls down over the earth, and the other one comes off this way and falls over.
Come over that way.
Takes a tumble and falls over.
Max, can you do me a favour, run the other way, please? Alistair, you come this way. John, can you go over that way, please?
I think I'll have four of you in a kind of, not an exact military line, a little bit of a broken line, coming out of the mist from up there. So we'll spread you out and you'll start walking down. And then the other two of you will have further down and closer to camera.
It was very beautiful. It's very Tim Burton almost. We had acres of snow. It was a beautiful day.
It's very hard with the graveyard because, of course, it's very easy to write a great, big, open Victorian graveyard. Of course, you then think, right, so that entire area has to be covered in snow.
We've got lots of dress snow, which is paper snow. We've got dress all around the graves, as you can see. This tree in the background, yeah, and these headstones. As well as that, we've got falling snow and mist, so just create a kind of sense of a real moodiness today.
I mean, it's basically tiny, tiny little particles of paper which is just sprayed across the set in this giant hose. And it looks fabulous, but it sticks to your shoes, it goes up your trousers, it gets everywhere, and if it rains, it turns to papier-mâché.
Danny, so we do it just to cover up these footprints there. They're just starting to get into the frame.
Starting to see them, eh? You know, snow everywhere. I'm quite lucky I'm not clearing it up, but...
It was a great scene. It was one of my favourite scenes. I really enjoyed doing it.
75, take 1A camera.
Shooting and action!
You monstrous witch.
Merry Christmas to you too.
But why are we spared? What do you need us for?
Your children.
I'll tell you what makes that sequence nightmarish, is that it's not the snow and it's not the Cybermen, it's not the people screaming and running about, it's the fact that the Doctor isn't there. And that makes it, without hope, that scene. There's something really remorseless and awful. At the same time, we've got a woman standing there in a red dress with a parasol, so there's a little bit of colour in there.
It was very dramatic, and it will be a very, I think, funny, powerful and scary scene.
I think it's magnificent. I remember when those rushes came in and it just looked extraordinary.
It's funny now I think of it, but in all these years, not one of you has asked my first name. It's Mercy.
Dervla's somebody that we've talked about a lot and really wanted to find the right part for.
Your work is done.
She's got the red dress. She's in charge of the Cybermen.
Delete them.
Delete.
You could go too big with that part. You know, you want a proper actor in there who'll take it seriously.
Julie and I worked with her on Casanova and know how incredibly sexy she can be.
Those velvety tones that she had work so well for Miss Hartigan. It sort of, she kind of reels you in and then spits you out the other side.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dervla's so beautiful, and we could just see her in that dress.
I know I'm here, but I sort of kind of can't believe that I am, so it's great. It's really good.
A fairly immaculate piece of casting there, I think. And she wears a red dress very well.
Oh, that is magnificent.
I think the Cybermen are terrifying.
Report. Cybershade 16 has made contact. Then observe the enemy.
There's something so impenetrable about them.
You can't do this to me!
Incorrect. It is done.
That sense of there's nothing to appeal to.
They're such a great monster, visually and emotionally. They're on par, you know, they're level pegging with the Daleks.
They look amazingly scary in their movements, and just the whole sheen of them is quite horrible.
There's something so kind of impersonal about them.
All hail the Cyber King. All hail the Cyber King.
But you promised me you said I would never be converted.
That was designated a lie.
I just think they're pretty scary creatures because you can't really see what's going on behind their eyes, and because they're robots and they're monsters and they're metal and they show no emotion.
I think the word iconic is overused, but I think that just about merits it.
I know why they fit the snow. It's because it's an image that's lodged in my head. The very first Cyberman story, they appeared out of the snow in the 10th planet.
They were first seen marching out of a snow blizzard, so there's something right and proper that they should be doing that again in 2008, I think.
They attacked the North Pole, and that's the very first time you saw a Cyberman, which I was watching, because I remember watching that story. I know I look impossibly young.
We are called Cybermen. Cybermen? Yes, Cybermen.
I mean, the original Cybermen in the 60s come from fears that people had about transplant surgery. You know, heart transplants were new then, and people feared that having a bionic arm would make you have a bionic brain and stuff like that. There's a real body horror modern science, fetishism, sort of fear coming out there.
Our lifespan was getting shorter, so our scientists and doctors devised spare parts for our bodies.
If they were just robots, I think they'd be a bit dull. But the fact that they were human, the fact they want to make you like them.
Come to Mondas and you will have no need of emotion.
The machines in some way, but they were human. But it's like there's nothing that you can appeal to or bargain with or reason with.
Ah! Let me go! I set you free! It was our plan!
I literally remember watching Tomb of the Cybermen.
Look!
Where they wake up in tombs. I was terrified. Actually, the bit I remember on that, that's really, I genuinely remember hiding by the arm of the settee, literally, was when they wake up the cyber controller. When they open his door and out he steps, and he's got a brain. That's why he's got a sort of flesh-like brain on top of his head. You belong to us. I've always tried to keep that as part of the design, I think, because I remember being stormingly terrified by it. Just my brain fleeing out my head. It was just so frightening.
Cybermen, where do they come from? I don't know, Jamie, but they're here, aren't they?
The invasion, they're in sort of pods and they cut their way through. They're sort of born out of eggs and something like that. That sort of sense of them being born was often there in the old ones. There's a great Peter Davison story called Earthshock, where the Cybermen hadn't been seen for years, and they made this huge return with a huge redesign.
So, we meet again, Doctor.
And in that, they're sort of wrapped in cellophane and inside these tubes, so they force their way out of the cellophane and then they burst their way out of these metal tubes. It's a great big return, saying we're back, and start to march en masse. It's terrifying, really. So they're a great creation.
Emotions, love, pride, hate, fear. Have you no emotions, sir?
You've no home planet, no influence, nothing.
You never change. Always the perfect guests.
You're just a pathetic bunch of tin soldiers skulking about the galaxy in an ancient spaceship.
Care? No, why should I care?
Emotions have their uses.
Feelings? I do not understand that word.
When did you last have the pleasure of smelling a flower watching a sunset?
Good afternoon.
These things are irrelevant.
For some people, small, beautiful events is what life is all about.
We know of your intelligence.
Oh, thank you very much.
Explode the bomb.
The Doctor is a formidable opponent.
We will survive.
But for now, let's leave the cyber attack in Christmas present and take a look at Christmas past.
I think the Christmas Invasion is always going to have a big place in my heart because it's David Tennant stepping out the TARDIS.
Here we are then. London, Earth, solar system, isn't it?
The Christmas Invasion is still one of my probably top 5 favourite episodes that I've done, I think.
Rose! Rose! I've got you! My lord! Oh, my precious thing. The Doctor. Is he with you? No. We're on our own.
Everyone is gathered, and the whole Earth is going to be doomed by the Sycorax.
And now you're going to die.
Leave her alone! Leave her alone!
Just that sense that all is lost, that we can't even tell what the aliens are saying anymore. And then slowly, almost imperceptibly, the Sycorax leader starts speaking in English.
Then your world will be gutted. Fill your people enslaved.
Hold on, that's English.
And therefore, if you can understand what he says, then that means the TARDIS translation circuits are working again, and that means that the Doctor's woken up, and that means that there might just be a hope after all.
And then the camera zooms in, the doors open, and there's David Tennant in his pyjamas.
Did you miss me?
There was a whole new era of the programme.
My favourite bit of The Runaway Bride is that bit on the motorway when the TARDIS bounces down the road.
You are kidding me.
And it's something I'd always wanted to see ever since I was a child. When I was a child, I used to sit in a car and imagine the TARDIS flying alongside. That was what was going on in my head. And you actually got to put that on screen with Catherine Tate in a wedding dress, being watched by two kids in the car in front, and David being its absolutely most heroic, and the TARDIS being its most heroic.
It's pretty hard to beat, really.
And then, of course, there's the old Christmas special from last year. It ends with a replica Titanic plunging towards Buckingham Palace. And I don't think you can get more Doctor Who than that. That's just balmy, isn't it?
Hello, yes, could you get me Buckingham Palace?
Only in Doctor Who could you get something that mad and that heroic and that much fun. And then the Queen is waving as it sails over Buckingham Palace. That's Doctor Who.
Bring in the Time Lord.
And being the nation's favourite Time Lord brings with it a whole history of comic sketches, all there to pay homage to the Doctor.
My old favourites, I don't know if still exist in the archives, but things like Crackerjack would do little Doctor Who sketches and little sort of pantos and things.
Doctor Who?
Don't forget the jewels.
All these jewels are ours.
And I used to love it. As a Doctor Who fan, you'd sit up because it was your favourite show and it was being referenced, you know? I really used to love it.
Oh, dear, what a funny noise you're making. You've been belching your food again.
Good heavens, what is that?
Oh, it's a giant-sized money box for putting coppers in.
Things like that would crop up all the time. I tell you, like Emu and the Pink Windmill Show did Dr. Emu. They did daft little sketches. And later on, all those people who did big formal sketches, like Lenny Henry.
Doctor, what happened? What happened? What's going on? Doctor, Doctor, where are you, Doctor? Oh, what's happened? What happened, Doctor? Doctor, Doctor, what happened to you? You're different, Doctor, you've changed. Oh, Doctor, what's happening? What's happening, Doctor? What?
Perry!
What?
Shut up!
I think it was a compliment, even though they are clearly taking the mickey out of Doctor Who a lot of the time. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? So Doctor Who fans, and you just sort of thought, it's like lots of people are in on the game.
Because all the work is now being done by robots.
You mean?
The Daleks! No, not them. The Cybermen. Huh? There's only one thing to do now, but I can't quite remember what it is.
Run up and down lots of corridors.
That was the one.
There is, I don't know if you've got, there's a French and Saunders sketch that was never transmitted.
Welcome, Time Lord.
I must protest, questioner.
All in good time. Time. Lord.
I think it's on the Trial of a Time Lord set, larking about.
Now, we are on Siluria, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And do you know how we know that?
How?
Because we're Silurians.
Yes, I know.
The seeds of Agron in my possession.
Very good, isn't it?
Whilst I still
John
hold
Baker's my favourite, really.
Yes, yes. I like Patrick Litchfield the best.
Yes.
Two Ronnies, I remember vividly. There's a sketch in the Two Ronnies, I think it must be. It's one of their big song and dance sketches at the end.
it's a bit of a mix. How are you supposed to be, mate? Abby Doctor Who, that's right. Well, you used to be Doctor Who, now you're worse or coming. Oh, I must have got the wrong head on.
Life can be terribly tame if you don't play the game with two.
I remember a marvellous episode of The Generation Game where Bruce Forsyth says, bring on the dialects.
Could we have the varied dialects, please? This is a good game. You'll really love this. Yep. I said dialects.
I'm not kidding. You used to be thrilled when you saw these things.
Who is it, Doctor? I'm not very bright and I haven't got my glasses on.
It's my old enemy, Crayola. Hello, Crayola.
Doctor, it's been a long time.
Eon.
As long as that, you don't look a day over 5 million. How do you do it?
Table tennis. We don't have much time. I'll keep him talking. You creep round behind him and disconnect his bladamite tubing and neutralise his thermal lobe.
But, Doctor, we haven't got the Ming-Mongs.
I just love it. It's like an extra bit of Doctor Who, even though they're not legitimate Doctor Who. You'd sort of just be chuffed for that night and just be happy that someone was referencing Doctor Who.
Here's a clip of The Who. People try to put us down. Just because we get around.
There's lots of stuff when you look for it.
Dead ringers. Cat Dealey, alien.
Chris Tarrant, alien.
The Queen, alien.
Where does the transporter arrive at?
In France.
France. France Casterbarus or France Neptune?
That would be France, French. Frenchland.
Good. What are you doing here? You've been telling these people that you're the train guard, but you are really the master. You've been telling the humans that they were going to the Eurotunnel, when really you were taking them into the vortex of the black hole. You're very naughty. I'm going to the bathroom, then I'll deal with you.
OK. It's good fun. I like it when Doctor Who's involved in all this stuff, and we actually enjoy it and try and help as much as we can, because the more Doctor Who in any shape or form we get on screen, the better.
The plot thickens, and the Doctor, Jackson and Rosita find themselves at the hub of all the action.
I wonder if anyone will recognise the hub before they watch Doctor Who Confidential and realise that that's what we filmed on.
I'd imagine it would be a location, first of all, actually, that we'd find an old Cardiff warehouse. When you think of it, it's got so much design in it, it's got CGI in it, and crucially, it's got kids in it. It's got kids running about, a lot of health and safety issues and stuff like that.
Because Torchwood were not filming at the time that we were filming this story, we basically rebuilt it.
I did sit there in the meeting going, as long as you can turn it back to the original hub.
In terms of scale and dimensions, it offered everything we needed.
The shape's still here, but other than that, it's very unrecognisable. Behind us is Captain Jack's office. His lovely round window is now a sewer tunnel.
It was unusual for me because I've done Torchwood, so it was really strange stepping onto that set. And it really was unrecognisable, actually, and I thought it was fantastic what they did.
I think you've really got to have quite a sharp eye to spot it as the same place.
I don't think I would have recognised it. It was brilliantly done.
So all that's left to do is set the cogs in motion and fill the place with some overexcited kids.
They do say you should never work with kids.
Children, pay attention.
I've spent many years on set working with kids, and I've always found it. I mean, they're a very receptive audience.
Shelley and Amy, you stay there for me.
My AD, Richard Harris, he was fab at workshopping them, actually.
When she says that, pull the sleeve up, 2 hands, pull it back, and everything's going to begin.
You'd have to sort of hit the ground running and get a step ahead.
This is the first time they've seen the set. It's the first time they've been in and found their feet in it, so they've done it extremely well. Max, go down there, mate. Thank you very much. You're going to help John. So, take a handle each. Not too close to the edge, Max. Take a handle each. Up there, John. Ready, Max? And we're going to turn it round clockwise. Are you ready? Is anyone listening?
Yes, I'm
Anyone? Anyone? All right, here we go. Ready?
He's like the Pied Piper. He's brilliant. He remembers all of their names and he bonds with them, and you know, they really respond well to him.
So one face that way, please. Turn around. Can you go around the other side of that handle? And if you go just one behind, watch your back. Well done. So I'll count to 3, okay, and then we'll start walking round, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, not too fast. Slow down. Brilliant. Well done, fellas. So, Jack, you look after the speed of that, all right? Not too quick, and you need to be leaning, all right?
He knows how to deal with them, so I felt in very safe hands with him.
We're going to put in lots of extra effort, so you're going to be going faster than that, Jack. You're going to be shoveling twice as hard. You're going to be pulling this round down as fast as you can.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working with them. The kids were really fantastic.
Big camera. Action!
Children, pay attention. Now let the new industrial revolution begin. I want to see you work.
Go.
We've just been filming a scene today which involved a lot of stunts and pyrotechnics and stuff.
My son. Doctor, my son!
That was real fun to do.
You know me.
Action!
I think both Davids were really up for it, and Tom Langford, who was our little boy, Frederick, was really brave and great.
I love going on the wires, but I hate heights.
The best child actor I've ever seen. Big eyes. Fantastic.
Hello! Now, hold on tight, don't let go.
Because obviously the hub set is quite tall, and therefore the set that we had for the cyber base was quite tall and had 3 or 4 different levels. Little Tom, who played Frederick, had to be wired to me. I had a sort of this rig all round me, quite a big rig, which was then wired through the front of my shirt onto the rope. And then little Tom was attached to my back. If we went down, we were going down together. Russell's got a thing about up and down.
Perhaps if you could pull. I am pulling! In this position I could not pull, could I?
He believes that up and down is more exciting than left to right. He's probably right. He usually is.
I just love them somehow. I just think they're more exciting. Most stuff goes from right to left. Actually, life goes right to left. And chases tend to go right to left on screen and things like that. And when you take a sort of deep breath, I think it's more thrilling. So we're all afraid of heights.
Gotcha.
So when you take a chase and stop it going right to left and have it going up and down, then it becomes really, really exciting. And you know, everyone fears a drop behind it.
So he's always finding different ways to send the characters up and down, which usually means we're on wires, like the lift shaft in New Air.
You're completely mad. I can see why she likes you.
Going down.
That's one of my favourite sequences ever. Rose and the Doctor whizzing up and down. That whole story actually goes up and down the hospital all the time, but ends classically in that slide down.
Well, that's one way to lose weight.
It's a bit of a motif in Russell's scripts that the characters will be on the vertical as much as possible.
You've got to be kidding! Bro, get up!
Our very first Sideman story has an escape on a rope ladder, hanging from a Zeppelin above an exploding factory with a cyber controller chasing after you. It doesn't get much more vertical than that. It's literally people hanging on for dear lives and a cyber controller pulling them down. Wouldn't have been as exciting if you tried to do that on the horizontal. Gridlock's a classic one for the up and down. And in that, the Doctor breaks the rules of the world. Everyone's stuck in place, and he goes down through the motorway.
It's completely insane.
That, and a bit magnificent.
And the whole motorway then has to go up to escape, so it's got a great sense of movement to it, really. I think the most vertical moment the Doctor ever had actually was like when he's stuck in the bowels of an exploding Titanic and has to get out, which is about to crash onto the Earth, and the host lifts him up, and he literally travels through the story. He cuts through the story by going up through the bridge. He literally flies. The Doctor flies in order to save the day. I think the most vertical moment the Doctor ever had, actually. It's just something I love doing.
Back on location, and the children are ready to be afraid. Very afraid.
Action!
You will continue.
Cut.
The scenes where the children were marched into the factory with the Cybermen and the Cybershades, we shot them in Monmouth, and it was a question of just having heavily rehearsed a lot of the stuff with the kids, and again Richard had come into his own and sort of just getting a shape to it.
Turn around, please. Face the front. Top man.
Working with that amount of kids under such a restricted timescale, it just really helped when you get a sense of the shape of where you're going.
Obviously, you get 30 kids between the ages of 4 and I think 11 on Doctor Who, so they're going to be really, really excitable. So it's quite hard calming them all down. But they have been fantastic, and you know, when the work starts, they're really professional.
Action!
Put me to shame a bit, actually.
They looked fantastic. They are having fun, they're really well looked after, they want to be there. And I think for any kid, if I'd had that experience, to see how it all works and to see the amount of different jobs that go into making, you know, a couple of seconds on film, I think it's a great education, really.
Amelia, when you go running, you stay that side of that lamp and you go running to that corner. That's it. And then you'll see a cyber shade and you'll come running back. Well done. OK, as soon as we've got frames and governor lights, we'll rehearse, please. Here we go, folks. Rehearsing and action.
What I like about the scene is it's one of the few scenes you see the Cybershades almost as guard dogs. Which I think, in a way, is like the role they play with the Cybermen.
Thank you. Shooting and action.
So, what do we have here?
Listen, just walk towards me slowly. Don't let them touch you. The Doctor meets Miss Hartigan for the first time, and he initially thinks that she's on his side.
Oh, but they wouldn't hurt me, my fine boys. They are my knights in shining armour, quite literally.
Or, well, he just assumes that she's somebody unwittingly caught up amongst this cyber business. Even if they've converted you, that's not a cyber speech pattern. You've still got free will. I'm telling you, step away.
There's been no conversion, sir.
Miss Hartigan is this, I guess, this wonderful mix of a classic Christmas villain. I think in that red dress, she's something for the dads, and I think at the same time she's someone for the kids to boo and hiss at.
Who are ya?
You could be quiet. I doubt he paid you to talk.
There's a slight hint that she is a lady of the night, should we say, on Christmas Day. But, you know, there's a little bit of a past there.
I'm playing Rosita, and she's basically really sassy, really mouthy. She doesn't take anything from anyone, a tough East End girl.
This is hardly work for a woman.
Oh, don't make me saving your life. That's work for a woman, isn't it?
The Doctor's companion does what the Doctor says.
I've got another big scene coming up, and I get to punch the bad guy, which is really good. I can't wait to do that.
Can I say I completely disapprove? Come on!
We filmed that from about 9 in the evening till 5 o'clock in the morning. So by about 4 o'clock in the morning, I am no go to anyone. I was remarkably relaxed because I was absolutely exhausted. And we had a stunt coordinator, and we practice it many, many times.
Drop into it rather than just go straight back.
Okay.
You know, so you can hit the sort of stagger, fall that way rather than...
Okay, that's great, yeah.
Otherwise, you just end up going straight back.
Okay, great.
I've never actually done anything like that, so I'm just going to see what they tell me to do, but hopefully there won't be any mistakes. I don't want any black eyes on set. If I do it slowly, so I'm kind of going across like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't have to be closer. It's any closer. It's just the angle of the body.
I'm just going to go for it.
I wanna get in trouble. I wanna start a fight. Na 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 na. I wanna start a fight. Na 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 na. I wanna start a fight.
Like that.
Camera. And action.
One last thing.
Oh! Can I say I completely disapprove? Come on!
Rosita is designed to be the archetypal companion, because when the Doctor meets the next Doctor, he needs to look like the Doctor.
Rosita, give me the sonic screwdriver. What? Quickly, get back to the TARDIS.
In miniature, she's an absolutely proper companion and is brave and fights and saves the children. So she's, she's wonderful.
So, onwards.
Maybe you should go back.
Don't even try.
She's really good and devoted, and in the end, through the whole process, finds a proper family and will find a proper home with Jackson Lake looking after Frederick in the end. She becomes the best of friends to him. I love the end scene of Christmas for me is always the Doctor and a guest star and the TARDIS and the snow.
The city will recover, as London always does.
The Doctor is essentially this lonely figure, and the wonderful thing about Christmas, it's a time for sharing, it's a time for belonging.
And a new history begins for me. I find myself a widower, but with my son, and with a good friend.
Now, take care of that one. She's marvellous.
It shows, finally, how the Doctor is alone. He's rebuilt Jackson's life, and there's some sort of family that's come back together. And there's the Doctor heading off on his own.
You won't stay.
Like I said, you know me.
It's kind of a curse being the Doctor in some ways, you know, because that loneliness.
All those facts and figures I saw of the Doctor's life, you were never alone. All those bright and shining companions. But not anymore.
No.
Just having these wonderful relationships, these wonderful bonds with people, but ultimately, you know, they have to end.
I suppose in the end. They break my heart.
And I just think it's a wonderful moment at the end where they go off into the sunset for Christmas dinner.
Action!
Merry Christmas to you, Jackson.
Merry Christmas indeed, Doctor.
He is a man alone, and we're going to be looking at that in these final stories now, in David's last stories to come, where we're really going to look at him and focus on that. And you can never stop asking yourself, who is the Doctor? It's called Doctor Who. There's huge stuff to come with that, epic stuff and heartbreaking stuff to come. So he's just the best character in the world.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight.
Bit of a legend. I say so myself.
Oh, have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Smith.
Merry Christmas, Doctor.